right? Okay, so before I start with the material, for example, you have to come here for, you know, the 9 a.m. class. Okay, so you have to plan yourself, right? Okay, so what do you do to make sure that you come on time? Tell me. Huh? Wake up early. Okay. Anything else? What else? Yes.
I don't know, maybe prevent the road that may have congestion.
Okay, good. Okay, what else?
Well, sleep early as well.
Sleep early. Very difficult, right?
Very difficult.
Yes. The brain starts working from 10 p.m. right? You're asking us to sleep at that time. Okay, what else? Okay, how early? How early is, okay, you said wake up early. How early? 5 o'clock,
Maybe
10 o'clock, huh? The class is 9. Who is that? Who was that? No, who was that? Who said 10? You? No, then? Yeah.
7 and 30 minutes.
Huh?
Before 1 and half o'clock, maybe 7.
Okay. So when you are calculating this time that I should wake up early, this much early, what did you consider?
Amount of sleep necessary.
Amount of sleep necessary. Very good. What else? You can sleep in the class as well, so there is no problem of amount of sleep. Yes. What else?
Time it takes to reach?
The time it takes to reach, right? Can we calculate that time? Yes, we can, right? Okay, so there is some calculation involved, right? Okay, so you calculated that time, then you put on the alarm and you sleep. The alarm goes off, you wake up, and what do? Very good. Yes, like what the other students do. I have taken 8 a.m., 9 a.m. class. I know what you guys do.
Snooze.
Alarm,
Snooze.
snooze only? Only? Okay. So, yeah. Somebody would snooze, somebody would switch it off, right? Okay. Why not? See? He's the snooze guy, he's the switch it off guy. Alhamdulillah. We're just talking about you. Okay, so now you see there is some calculation involved. Okay, I take this road, okay, and I will reach from here to here in this much time. So there is some calculation involved, right? Okay, but there is some other things involved as well. Some things which are not related to calculating. Okay, something which are not technical. They are related to how you are managing yourself. Okay, you have to discipline yourself, you have to put the alarm, you have to gather the resources, right? Okay, first of all, to imagine I will go from here to here in this much time, you should have a car yourself, right? Okay, so you have to manage the resources, you have to manage yourself, you have to be prepared for whatever you are going to do. Okay, so management involves all these things. So it has some technical part, some calculation, but there is something which is beyond that, which is more than that. Okay, so the course will cover both of these things. Okay, but there is some background which you have already covered in other courses, or you are already covering in other courses. I already gave you the example of the budgeting and the design. So while you are going through this course, keep this in mind. Okay, so the books which I already mentioned, there are a couple of more books written here. Okay, PMBOK I mentioned, I believe I uploaded the 6th edition, so quite new. Okay, we will start with some definitions and the concept of land development. Okay, So first of all, what is a project? You guys do term projects, right? Huh? So what is a project? What is the term project? What is a senior project? This. How do you define a project?
Group of skills.
Huh?
A group of skills.
Group of skills. Yes.
Well, a task that needs to be completed and
The
has
task.
a start date and end date.
Yes. Good. And it needs some skills, right? Different skills which you have to bring together, right? So this is the formal definition of a project. Okay, it applies to all fields, any type of project. Okay, whether it is engineering project or a software project or whatever type of project, a student project. It's a temporary endeavor, so whenever say that it's a project, okay, so it's temporary, so it has a start date and an end date. Okay, something which is indefinite, okay, like it will not continue till the day of Qiyamah, but we don't have a date in mind. Okay, so that is not a project. Okay, that is not a project. So a temporary endeavor or a project must have a start and end date. Okay, and we are trying to, during a project, we are trying to create something which is unique. Okay, and that thing could be a product, it could be a service, or any type of result. Okay, so in your design projects, you are coming up with a design, right? Okay, so it's not a tangible project, it's not a tangible product. I cannot have it, I don't have it. Okay, it's just you are showing me the results, right? That if you do this, do this, do this, then the building will be ready, or it will be, it can have 20 floors and it will be stable and it will bear the load. And these are the results, right? Okay, or it can be a product, for example, a building. You prepare the building itself, that's a product. Okay, if you prepare the building itself, it's a product. Okay, or it could be a service as well. For example, internet service, a software, an app. Okay, so you don't have something, but these are not just results. This is something which you can use, right? So they come under than services, but they are unique in nature. If you are doing something repetitive, it's not a project. Okay, so what you guys do, taking the assignment from last semester and doing it again, it's not a project. Like we give it as a project, but you are not treating it as a project. Okay, so every project is supposed to be unique. Okay, it's a one-time effort basically. It's a one-time effort. Not been done before, not been done after. We can have something similar, but not the same. Okay, not the same. For example, you have a road where there are already 2 lanes there. Okay, and then they say, okay, on the same road we'll add another lane. So those 2 lanes were one project. The 3rd lane is another project, right? Is it the same thing? It's the same road, same location. We are building a lane. Okay. So is this something unique or something which is already done? Adding a lane is something unique or is something which is already done? We already built a road with lanes, right? So how is this different from this one?
Because it's a new lane.
It's a new lane. So what? Those 2 lanes when they were constructed were new.
The process is different.
The process is different. Okay, you cannot follow the same things from start to end to complete that 1 lane. Even if you say, okay, I will do 2 lanes now. Okay, those are 2 lanes, now we have 1. No. Okay, let's say we will build another 2 lanes. Still, the process will not be different because the time has changed, the weather has changed. Okay, there's already a road there, so you have to think about what will happen to that road. Okay, so these things will, so even if you are doing it at the same location, the same type of work is not exactly the same. Okay, the things which are exactly the same as like these, for example, these cups. So I'm looking for the same thing, right? I am following the same procedure. In this case, if I bring something unique, that will be a problem, right? all the cups are same, but this one has a hole in it. Oh, I built something unique. You are fired for that. Okay, you are not supposed to bring something unique. You have to follow the same process and give me the same product. Okay, so that's how things can be unique. It may look similar, but it should be unique. So there are two things important for a project. One thing is they are temporary, and the other thing is they are unique in one way or the other. And yes, we have the skill part as well, that in most of the projects we are combining different skills together to bring the result out into the display. Okay, so yeah, I already mentioned that. So what is project management? Project management is the application of processes, methods, skills, knowledge and experience to achieve project objectives. Okay, so we will use, as I already mentioned, okay, any skill and knowledge which is required, any methods which are required, any processes which are required to complete the objectives of the project. Okay, according to a fixed criteria within the given parameters. Okay, and we will talk about them later on as well. So project management has final deliverables that are constrained to a final time scale and budget. So the project management is tied with the project. Okay, so a project has fixed time. Project is temporary, right? That means the management also had a finite time scale. Okay, the project has limited resources, so the project management also has limited budget. Okay, but the main duty of the project manager is to make sure that the project objectives are achieved, and in doing that you may have to use different skills, processes and knowledge. Okay, and the objectives must be achieved according to a specific acceptance criteria. Okay, and within the agreed parameters. Okay, I'll give an example from your case. Okay, so all of you are giving the exam. Okay, somebody takes higher marks, somebody takes lower marks. Okay, so we have a specific threshold, right? We have a specific limit. If you reach that limit, that is pass. If you are below this limit, that is fail, right? So that is the acceptance criteria. Okay, so this is how much you have to do at least. Got it? Okay. Now how to achieve that criteria, that is also agreed. Okay, you have to keep this in mind. I got bad marks in midterm. Doctor, give me something else. What else? What should I tell you to do? Wash my car? What? Getting my point? Okay, so a project manager cannot say, okay, I saved time. Okay, so the project was supposed to finish in a specific timeline, so I finished in that timeline. Okay, so I met this acceptance criteria. Okay, but in doing that, I did not finish part of the project. So you met the acceptance criteria, but not in the way they were supposed to meet. Okay, so you have to meet and the same way in which it is agreed to be met. You get my point? Okay, so there is a goal. You have to reach that goal up to a specific level. Okay, and how to reach it, that is also specified. That is also agreed. So what you have to do, to what level you have to do, and how you have to do it. Okay, all these things are agreed. They are part of your management. Okay, so until you do or you take care of all these things, the management or the project manager is not considered successful. Okay, so the project manager is the person who is assigned by the performing organization to lead. Okay, there is a big debate about can a manager be a leader or something. So that's not part of the course, but in general terms, a manager is considered as a leader as well. Okay, in most of the cases, a manager is considered as a leader as well. So general definition is they are the organization. They are given the task to do something. They make a team, and they put a person on top of that team as a leader. Okay, and that leader is basically the project manager. Okay, so the organization who's taking care of the project, they have a team, and the team is led by the project manager. Okay, so he or she is the responsible person for accomplishing the objectives of the project. Okay, so every project has at least 3 constraints. Every project has at least 3 constraints. There's a 4th one as well, which you can consider part of the scope, or you can consider it separately as well, which is quality. Okay, but these 3 are always there. Quality becomes something very important for specific projects. Okay, but for normal projects, it's like part of the scope. Like, okay, I'm looking for something very generic. Okay, so okay, I'm constructing a villa. Okay, so you have in your mind was the general picture. Okay, but if I'm constructing a palace for some high profile person, then quality is something else, right? It's not general. Okay, the quality of finishes, the lighting is not like every other villa. Okay, so you get my point. Okay, so in most of the cases, quality is part of scope. Okay, so the 3 things you have to keep in mind, 3 constraints you have to keep in mind is time, cost, and scope. Okay, and then you can see the intersection of these 3 things is considered as the quality. So it's part of the available 3 constraints. Okay, so you have to balance between them. Okay, between these 3 elements there should be a balance. So for example, high quality projects, the projects which are considered as high quality, they have a complete balance between these 3 things. They are within budget, they are finished within time, and they fulfill the scope, the objectives. Okay, so you are fulfilling the objectives, you don't have any delay or any major delay, and you are managing the budget within the given limits. Okay, so this is considered as a high quality. So this is normally considered a high quality project. Okay, and I already gave you the exception. Okay, so the relationship between these 3 parameters is that they are interlinked with each other. You can see it in the diagram as well. These 2 diagrams that they are showing, there's an arrow going from one way to the other, right? Okay, so it's not possible that I change one thing and nothing happens to the other 2 parameters. Okay, so if you are trying to shorten the time, okay, in most of the cases it will affect the other 2 parameters as well. If you play with the budget, it will affect the other 2 parameters as well. Okay, so these 3 are interlinked with each other. So at least one of them will be affected. Okay, if you try to manage, or if you change one, keep the other constant, then you have to change the 3rd one. Okay, for example, if you say I will reduce my scope. Okay, I need less, I don't need like 3 floors. For now I will restrict myself to 2 floors. Okay, so that means time and budget both will change, right? Okay, but if you say okay, I will keep the for example, if you say I want to reduce the cost, but I don't want to change anything with the time. So you are reducing money, but you are saying I will not change the time. That means the scope has to change. You getting my point? Okay, so in some cases all 3 of them can change, or all one will affect the other 2. But if this is not the case, if you control one, at least the 3rd one will be affected. Okay, yeah. So how these things can change the project manager has to balance them as the project is going on. There are some risk events, some uncertain events. Okay, events which which are not supposed to happen during the project. They can happen. It doesn't mean that they are totally, you don't consider them at all, but they are not normal. You are getting my point. Okay, so for example, the prices of material or something like COVID, for example. Okay, so we may have thought about, okay, project may be disrupted because of some weather event, let's say. Okay, or something like this. But you did not imagine that you will have a pandemic which will last for 1.5 years. Getting my point? Okay. Even the other risk events, for example, rain. Okay. So you are going through a project. You may expect some rain, right? Okay. You may expect that there could be a day or two in the 6 months that there will be a rain. Okay. So you have, but it's not normal, right? It's not something which you can say it will happen on this day for this time for this much for these many hours, and I will do this with it. You're getting my point? Okay. So these are called as the risk events. There's always some uncertainty with them. There's always some uncertainty with them. Even if you are expecting them, but there is still some uncertainty with them, and these risk events can change these parameters. Okay, so that's why balancing them becomes very problematic, very challenging. Okay, so a project is temporary. We already said that. It has a unique product, service, or result. Okay, it is progressive. So it is done step by step. Okay, you cannot start and finish the project all in one go. Okay, the project has to be done in steps. Okay, so it has phases, it has steps. Okay, so then that's why you need the team as well. Okay, that's why you need to manage the resources. That's where the three constraints come into play. Okay, if I ask you to do something which is a one item effort, okay, making a call or lifting a phone or going from one place to the other, this is like, so there are no steps here, there are no phases here. Okay, so these constraints will only play their part when you have progressive work, something which will go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. Okay, progressive also means they are interlinked. They are interlinked. Okay, like you have the study plan, right? You have the prerequisites. Okay, so that's progressive. Okay, they use another term which I forgot, but there's another term which they use for your program. Culminating. So as you are going through the plan, you are growing in your knowledge and skill, or they assume you are growing. God knows what is happening in your minds. But this is what they assume. Okay, so a progressive elaboration means the same. Okay, the tasks are interlinked. There are tasks. You can divide them into parts, and they are interlinked, and they have to be done one after another. Okay, you cannot do all of them in one go. That will not be a project. It is performed by people for the time being. The way we are going, you don't. You will be sleeping at home and you will wake up and there's a new mall in front of you, all built and ready. Just go and do shopping. That will be fun life, right? Just wake up and go for shopping. But anyways, it has limited resources, and that is attached to being temporary. Okay. A project life cycle has these 5 stages. Okay. Stage 1 is initiation, in which you define the goal and scope of the work. What is to be done? Okay. What is to be done? Normally it takes like around 10% of the time, whatever the time is. Okay, if the project is for days, this could be hours, right? If the project is months, then this could be days. You're getting my point? Okay, so it's relative. Then we have the planning stage. Now you know what you have to do. Now you will plan how you will do it. Okay, and what are the things you will need to achieve your objectives. That's the planning stage. Then you start actually doing it, the execution stage. Okay, so the second stage takes around 20% of time, because now you have to think more and take more data and so on. So planning and execution, that's the main stage, right? Without going through the execution, you will not have the result. We hope we do. Like I'm thinking about, okay, I will get an A grade in this course, and just by thinking it happens. I have a dream in which I got all A's, and then I wake up and my GPA is 1.5. Okay, but that's the execution stage, takes most of the time. Okay, and then we have the monitoring and controlling. Okay, that is immediately after you finish execution. So you are now monitoring what we have done, what are the results now. We have finished. Okay, like for example, if somebody developed a new software or new app, then they do the testing. That is the testing stage. Okay, we do the same thing in construction as well. Okay, so somebody said, okay, the building is finished. Okay, so now they will, or let's take one activity. Let's say you have done the concreting. Okay, after concreting, then you have to see the finishing. You have to see it can bear the load. Okay, and so on. Okay, the same thing happens with, and you have to see the dimensions, the alignment. Okay, so this is that stage, monitoring and controlling. So you have the product, you have the service. Okay, and you are testing it basically. So that's the testing stage. And then we have the closure. So testing stage takes like around 15% of the time, and it can continue with the execution. You don't have to wait till the end of the project to do all the tests, right? Okay, that will be disaster. If something goes wrong, it's already done. Okay, so it continues. So it takes 15% of the time. Then you have the closure, where you will finalize all activities. You will evaluate the final budget, and you know what needs to be given, and the handover and the legal things and so on and so forth. Okay, so that obviously takes very small amount of time. So the only 5% of time. Now looking at this, so which stage is the most important one? Planning only is 20%. Execution.
But it's the main for the execution. If you plan well, you will execute well, and the quality control will be.
Yeah. So there is a saying: if you fail to plan, then you are doing what? Nobody knows, right? You're not planning, huh?
If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Yes, I was expecting this from you. So the execution depends upon planning. Okay, if you start with the execution directly, then you don't know what you are doing. Okay, so the execution, some people do that, they are trying to save time, so they start with the execution without proper planning. So that means you will use more resources, you will waste more time. So in your mind, you are saving this 20%, but actually this 50% will keep on expanding. So with this 20%, this 50% could have been 1 week. Okay, but without this, or without doing this properly, this can go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever, and still you may not get the work done. Okay, so the success is still not guaranteed. So that's why the planning is very important. Okay, so these are the different knowledge areas for a project manager or in the project management field. Okay, and these are in general, like all of them are not necessarily related to construction, all of them may not apply to construction. So we have the project integration management. Okay, so that means that the different aspects of the project, the cost, and what were the three constraints? Cost, scope, and time. Okay, so in integration management, you are looking at that all these constraints are met, all these constraints are balanced while you are trying to meet the project objective. Then you have project scope management, which is about defining the objectives. Okay, so defining the objectives and defining the scope of the work itself. So that is a separate field. Okay, so integration comes after you have done the scope and objectives. Then you have schedule management, which is basically managing the time. Okay, planning the time, calculating the duration, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you have to make sure that you have a realistic schedule baseline. Okay, you have to monitor your actual work against the baseline. Okay, and you have to you have to make sure that you follow it as closely as possible. Now, this can only happen if your baseline is realistic. What you have prepared is something which you can achieve. Okay, so otherwise, even putting up the baseline is requires special knowledge, okay, and special skills. Then we have the cost management. Again, we have baseline, a realistic budget, okay, and then you have to track your cost against the budget. So there is something which they call as cost control. Okay, that is a separate field, and people go into that. So you have to make sure that you are within the budget. Then you have project quality management. Now the diagram which I showed you earlier, where was quality? At the intersection. Okay, but here you can see it is mentioned separately. So if somebody is doing the above three things, they may not still achieve the required quality for some of the clients. For some of their special clients, the quality may still not be there. So quality management is a separate field, a separate task. Okay, so you have to make sure you know about what are the requirements. How can the client may say, I need a glass which doesn't shine in the sunlight. Okay, so he gave you the quality. Okay, I need this quality. How? Okay, the client says, I need a room, okay, where there should be an echo. People speak, there should be an echo. He gave you the quality. How to achieve this? What should I do to achieve this quality? Okay, so quality is something which is, and the other thing is quality is what? Is it? So what I consider as good, everybody will consider as good? No, right? Okay, so quality is something subjective. So you have to understand what the client is saying, and then you have to see how to achieve that. Okay, so that is another thing. Okay, and quality management or quality assurance is now applied to all types of organizations, universities, construction organizations, government organizations. The thing is there. Okay, so they are not doing like project management or something, but they are doing quality management. Okay, then we have project resources management. Okay, we'll talk about resources later on, but in the construction project, we have equipment, we have material, okay, and then there are some facilities required on the site. Okay, so you have to make sure that all these things are available at the right time, in the right quantity. Okay, I need one mixer or two mixers. Okay, maybe at some day I will need only one mixer, at some other day I will need two. Okay, I need 5 people labor now. Maybe later on I will need 1 or 2 or 10, whatever. So you have to play around with them. And then another thing is resources are not infinite, right? Okay, and in an organization, resources are shared, because your project is what? Permanent or temporary? Temporary, right? So you cannot like buy resources just for doing this. Most of the resources you are buying for general use. Okay, my father used to he had this business, whatever you call it. Okay, where people will come and rent out things which are used in construction. Okay, so they were like small contractors who will mostly come for to rent out these things, and when they go to the higher level, they buy, because now they have enough projects to use them, like they can bear the cost. But that also means when they buy, they are not buying for one project, they are buying for all the projects. Okay, so resources management include all these things. Then you have projects communication management. Okay, so you have to make sure that you communicate or you collect data or you collect information on time. There is always a time when the information is most accurate. Okay, for example, concreting. You have to collect the concrete strength data. Okay, if you do it later, the concrete is already hardened. Now you have to like break it and so on. Okay, so you have to do it at the right time. For road paving, they do it immediately, like they don't let the truck, pour all the asphalt until they test the temperature and so on. So there's a time. Okay, so you have to make sure that you are collecting all the data on time. That's very important, especially for construction. Okay, and you are giving it to the right people on time as well. The project owner needs some data, maybe the budget data. Your organization may need resource data for their records. Okay, so you have to make sure they get it on time, and you have to make sure that you are keeping it in the right place. The recording is also good. Okay, because they may need this data later on for billing and so on. So this is where communication management comes. We have talked about risk, a very broad field, a very important field, gaining a lot of attention now. All the modern trends in project management are related to risk. Okay, all the modern fields in project management are related to risk. Okay, so risk management, you identify the risks. What are the things which can go wrong? Okay, what are the things which can be out of the way? Okay, they are not part of the proper plan, but they can happen. You have to analyze them. We will talk about what to analyze, but basically you see if this happens, what can happen and what is the chance of this happening. That is the analysis. Okay, and you have to monitor. So if something happens which you were afraid of, you have a plan ready, but this plan can only be implemented if you are monitoring it. Okay, for example, fire. It's a risk, right? Okay, so if you don't have proper procedures, so when fire happens, that procedure will not be applied, right? And you can lose lives and property and whatnot. Then we have project procurement management, which is something related to resource. Okay, so it's a part of resource management. Okay, but now in big companies, especially who are dealing with multiple countries. Okay, so now we have material coming from one country, equipment from one country, and so on and so forth. So they have made this field of procurement management. Procurement means what? Procure means what? Anybody?
To get something.
To get something. So procurement means to arrange things. Okay, again, to come at the right place at the right time. But in resource management, we are talking about all types of resources. Maybe you are buying them, maybe they are already there, you are managing it. In procurement management, we are talking about new resources, like something which you have to like bring from somewhere. Okay, so you have to plan for it, you have to manage it, you have to control how much it is consumed, and you have to track it and so on and so forth. Okay, but they are mainly from outside the organization, they are not there. Okay, and then we have project stakeholder management. I've already used another term for a stakeholder. What was that? Parties. Yes. So stakeholders are all the people who are involved in the project. So a manager should know what are the stakeholders, because each project can have a different set of stakeholders. Okay, so for a road project, the residents in the area are also stakeholders. For a building construction, they may not be. Getting my point? Okay, so you have to identify those stakeholders and you have to engage them in the project so that later on they don't complain. Okay, so now up till now we are talking about project management in general. Now we are talking about construction management, project management applied to construction. Okay, so it is the practice of planning, coordinating and controlling the construction phase of the project. Makes sense, right? Okay, you are planning and coordinating and controlling the construction phase of the project. Okay, and but you start doing it. You are doing it for the construction phase. You are doing it for the construction phase, but your work starts from where? From planning. Okay, because we said what? If you are not doing the planning properly, your execution is failed. So if the project manager is not involved at the planning stage, then the management will be weak. Okay, so it starts from planning and it ends at closeout. Okay, now you have to keep something in mind. When we say closeout, it is the closeout of what? Closeout of. Okay, then there starts another phase. That phase is also important for us as civil engineers, but construction manager will stop there. Got my point? Okay, so this is the closeout. So this is the job responsibility of the construction manager, not the manager. Okay, there could be another manager which is still managing the building and so on. Okay, so yeah, the manager has to ensure that the construction phase, again the same three things. The project is completed on schedule, within budget, and meets the necessary requirements of scope, quality, and safety. So these are the main things which are like these two are the extra things which are considered part of the construction project. Okay, quality we already talked about it. Okay, can be part of the other three, or it can be considered separately. But safety is very important for construction projects because you are building a physical product, right? Okay. Civil engineering deals with what? Civil engineering deals with what?
Load.
Loads. Okay. The machines, the labor. You are giving me specific things. Okay, like in general, if I say the whole civil engineering is dealing with infrastructure. Okay. Now the infrastructure means people will use it. Okay. It has to bear the load. Okay. So any mistake there will have safety consequences. You getting my point? Okay. It may not be there if your if a new app fails. There may not be any safety consequences. Somebody built a new game. Okay. Now it's not working. Fine. Okay, he may die, but others are safe, right? Who cares about him? Okay, so the safety is attached to the construction projects in this way. Okay, so what are the responsibilities? So now we are talking about not project management as a whole, but we are talking about the construction manager. Okay, so we are talking about specific responsibilities now. We have site management responsibilities. Okay, so in site management, the construction site, he is managing the site, he is making sure the site is safe. Okay, and in all countries, they have safety regulations to make sure of that. Okay, the government, whatever the department is, they have their own safety regulations. Okay, so he has to make sure that all safety regulations are followed. And then there are some regulations which are followed by the company itself. Okay, I don't remember if they put it now or not, but there was a company, I forgot the name. They were dealing with construction equipment. Okay, so I used to, it was in Isatown, on the way to Isatown. So they put a board on outside their showroom or whatever you call it, these many days without accidents. Okay, so they are like following their own standards. Okay, and then we have some certifications which are also based on that. They have their own standards. So site management, very important task is to make sure the site is safe. Okay, he has to manage the workers and the construction process while he is maintaining the safety. Then we have the budget management. Okay, you have to manage the expenses. Okay, minimize them as much as possible. You have to track the costs. Okay, because in construction You don't know the final cost in many cases until the work is done. So tracking is very important. This much material came, where did he put it, how much labor came, and so on. Because again, the work is happening in a shared environment. And you have to negotiate the contracts, negotiation, right? Bargaining, okay, not 50,000, 50, like 49,000, something. There are people who are experts in that, right? Every group has a friend like this, like we used to have. Ramadan was like his season. He is going to the market with everybody. People are calling him. I am here. I'm in this shop. Everybody will come there. He is going like with a gang. Big mafia. Okay, but anyways, you get the point, right? Okay. Resource allocation, you already mentioned about resources. So we have labor, equipment, and material. You have to make sure that all these resources are on the site and the site is running smoothly. Okay. Then we have schedule management. Okay. You have to meet the deadlines and you have to keep the project on track. Okay. Then we have the quality control. So quality control means you have to meet the requirement and specifications. Specifications can be material strength, dimensions, okay, finishing, the type of finishing you are looking for, and so on. Clear? Any questions? Okay.